Welcome back, tribe. Welcome back to the Openly Occultic Book Club. We've been reading the definitive book of human design, written by Lynda Bunnell and authorized by Ra Uru Hu, the founder of the human design system. And where we left off last time, we started to go into section 7, which is the meat, in my opinion. This is where we're starting to really get into the meat. Section 7 discusses the 12 profiles. So we started out reading the right angle profiles. Basically, this section is broken down into the three geometries that you basically see with these three profiles, because you'll have right angle profiles, juxtaposition profiles, and left angle profiles. So you kind of get an extra level of information when it even comes to your particular profile. Now, I hope you guys have your human design chart so that you can read along and learn about yourself while we're reading, right? Um, I have a 1-3 profile. And you know what? Actually, incidentally, if you will, I was talking with my sister, pulled her chart up. She's also a 1-3 profile. We're both 1-3 profiles. We're both single definitions. And I find that to be amazing. We're so much alike, but of course we're different. So it's really interesting to see how similar we are and where the differences occur in our energetic makeup, right? So make sure you get your body graph so that you can see what energy you're dealing with. And thank you for joining me. Make sure to share the video so that other people can learn about human design and start to conduct their own experiment, right? Okay, so here we are picking up at the juxtaposition or fixed fate profile. There's only one with this fixed fate profile. We started to talk about this term that they're using for this juxtaposition, this fixed fate, because I'm of the opinion that fate can't be fixed. You know, at any time you can change directions, if you will. So, I mean, like, make a change in your life. So I would say that's changing directions, right? So, but the main theme of this section really is geometry. And I kind of get what's being said, but you know, I just brought up some thoughts that I had when we read that. So check those thoughts out in the previous video. But for now, because we covered the right angle geometry so far, and there was about 5, 6 different profiles associated with that, maybe a little bit more. But when you get to juxtaposition, there's only one profile, and that's the 4-1 profile. It's called the Opportunist and Investigator, right? The Opportunist and Investigator. Now, on the fourth line, which would be the personality side, it's conscious, right? On the personality side of your body graph, it's more of a conscious type situation. On the design side, it's unconscious. You're not really aware of it. You kind of just naturally do it because it's in your DNA. When I think of the design side, I think about your DNA, your ancestry, your ancestors walking with you. You're them. They are you. So in many ways you're not aware. Some people can look at you and point out, things that you don't know about yourself or hadn't realized about yourself. And that's when you start to come aware of it little by little. But for the most part, as is described in this book, it's really an unconscious type situation. So for this 4-1 profile, their fourth line personality is conscious externalization, and their first line design is unconscious introspection. Okay, so starting with their personality side, the behavioral identity of this fourth line is opportunist. The projected attitude is abdicator. The limited perspective is fatigue. The aspired to role is aloneness. Their bonding strategy, these fourth line people on the personality side, their bonding strategy is confident or not. Their security strategy is benefactor or dependent, right? There's a little polarity. Emotional resonance is kindness or meanness. So, like we said, there's duality, there's polarity, and I like to say wholeness and balance because I think a healthy balance will get kind of a little bit of both sides, you know? So that's how I live life. Also, awareness resonance, corruption or not. Now, when it comes to the first line design side, this unconscious introspection that the fourth line 4-1 profile has, the first line is speaking of these things. Their nature is modesty. Their type is authoritarian, right? So they're kind of like an authoritarian type energy going. The memory is empathy. The direction is creativity. The sexuality is back and forth between pursuer and pursued. Humanity is self-provider or coveter. Their wave resonance is weakness or strength, as it is for their frequency resonance, weakness or strength. So let's get into a little bit of the background when it comes to this 4-1 profile. The opportunist investigator represents an interesting juxtaposition of the socially open and friendly fourth line and the unconscious, introverted, and insecure first line. The first line is the foundation of the lower trigram, and the fourth line is the foundation of the upper trigram, creating a harmony of purpose. This is a unique profile that comprises only about 2% of the world's population, and with its fixed fate, serves as the bridge between the right angle personal destiny and left angle transpersonal karma. Okay, so these are little distinctions we got going on here. The right angle personal destiny, right? So the right angle people have a personal destiny they're here to fulfill. The left angle people have a transpersonal karma. I remember we read in the last video when we were going over the right angle personalities, it was being said that these people, I don't know if it said just the 1-3 people, but the lower trigram, lines 1, 2, and 3, um, they have a type of a way about them. It was saying that when they're born into this incarnation in this lifetime, they're born with kind of like a veil, so they can't remember previous lifetimes. And it said that those people are here to karma, create karma. Um, and then on the flip side, specifically, I remember line 5-1, and that's also part of the right angle personal destiny. But it was saying that those people clean up karma. You guys recall that? Some people create karma, some people clean up karma, and all these people that we're talking about were part of the right angle personal destiny group that we read about in the last episode. So, but when it comes to the juxtaposition, these people have like a fixed fate because they're like a bridge between this right angle personal destiny and left angle transpersonal karma, right? It says neither this nor that, not personal or transpersonal. There's only one juxtaposition profile for each hexagram. The 4-1 moves along its specific line of geometry like a train on its track, and it has a movement and a direction through life that cannot be altered. So, 4-1 profile people have, according to this book, they have a movement and direction throughout life that can't be altered. Nothing anybody says or does will alter that direction through life. And that's kind of why I kind of got thrown off in the last episode. Because I feel like when we were reading about this personal destiny, it was these right angle people with this personal destiny, particularly in the 1-3, but definitely yeah, the 1, the 2, and not so much the line 3, but definitely line 1 and 2. You can't really tell these people anything. Line 2 is caught up in their own world, doing their own thing. They're like in the first floor window of a house with the blinds open. So they're inside minding their business, doing what they do, and getting good at it, right? But people outside are looking in at them getting good at what they do, and at some point they'll call them out. Hey, I want you to do this for me. I need you to do that. I need you to work on this project for me, whatever the case may be. And now they have an opportunity to shine, right? To get out their gifts to the world. And line one is very private as well and all consumed. So for these two people, the line ones and line twos, you're dealing with an in-house type energy. It's a personal destiny. They don't really need your input on anything. They just do their thing. So that's why I kind of got confused, because for me, that sounds like right angle personal destiny people, particularly line one and line two, are moving in a direction in life that can't be altered as well. Am I wrong? Am I missing something here? So I don't know, but here it's called a fixed fate for the 4-1. This juxtaposition geometry or profile. It goes on to say, for personal, you're designed to study these 4-1 profiles. You're designed to study, learn, and establish a solid foundation in an area of life that fascinates you, and then to influence others with your knowledge base. Your foundation is whatever thing you love to immerse yourself in and want to share with others. Investigating and becoming an expert on a given topic transforms your inherent insecurity into an authority. Once you're established as an authority, you can then go out to your network and become an influential expert in your field. With your fourth line people skills, you have a natural ability to know how to best communicate your knowledge base to others. Okay, we got these terms thrown around all the time these days. Influencers, right? Well, here's your natural influencers, right? Your natural influencers. Because once they're established as an authority, now they can go out to their network and become an influential expert in whatever field they're in. So for these 4-1s, your role is to network and bring together the research and development of the personal destiny profiles, those right angle profiles, bring together the research and development that they've done with the marketing and universalizing of the transpersonal karma profiles, those left angle profiles. You have one foot in each world, yet you operate differently with a role that is separate and apart from them. For you, fixed fate is a life of following your own unique line of geometry, whatever that may be. To learn more about what your fixed fate is here to investigate and externalize, look at your personality sun and earth located in your body graph. This will give you a sense of your purpose, of what you're here to do in life, and as you begin to live your life through your strategy and as your own authority, you'll witness your life aligning perfectly to your purpose and to your fate. So that's good news right there. That's something to look forward to should you choose to try out your own experiment with this topic, right? I'm gonna test out this human design system. Let me go ahead and learn my strategy and my authority. Let me look at my sun and earth and my personality side on my body graph, and let me see if I get in alignment more with my purpose, right? So, hey, if you're conducting your personal experiment and you have anything to share with us and you're a 4-1, let us know in the comments. For all fourth lines, the quality of your life is deeply dependent upon the quality of your network, family, friends, and coworkers. Your opportunities to externalize your foundation come through the people in your network, through friendly associations, as you're not designed to influence strangers, right? So the 4 in this 4-1, that fourth line is not the type of energy that deals with strangers. You influence people in your inner circle, right? The people in your network, your family, friends, and coworkers. Those are who you influence. I mean, try it out. Do the experiment. See if this thing works better for you with family and friends, and then try it out with strangers and see if you get positive responses. Let's see if you are able to affect change. Create a spark. Because I'd like to know. I think it's interesting to know that there could possibly be these different types of energies, right? I mean, it's called the fourth line. So I know numerology, frequency is involved, right? And we all have different auras. So this is your energetic frequency. And I think that's interesting to know that fourth lines, or any line for that matter, is really only resonates with people in your inner circle. It doesn't resonate with strangers. And then you have the line 5 that is better bringing out information to strangers versus their inner circle. Wow. You know, but if all things are possible, yeah, well, then that could be possible. Okay, I get it. Your opportunities to externalize your foundation come through the people in your network, through friendly associations, as you're not designed to influence strangers. To effectively externalize your knowledge base, a personal connection is necessary. If you're asked to speak at an event by someone you know, for example, it's best for you to show up early and make as many face to face connections with the audience as possible, or have a get to know you mixer the night before so that you'll be speaking to a familiar and receptive room. It's also important for you to have a solid foundation for your life in the areas of home, finances, relationships, and work. Achieving this is an ever changing, achieving this in an ever changing world, however, can be challenging. Even though a 4-1 is fixed and solid like an oak tree, there is vulnerability inherent in this profile. You're so fixed that you can be broken, and the pieces can be hard to put back together again. Understanding how you're designed and what your purpose is can help you stay on track and deal with the challenges of life. In order to stay steady on your course and enjoy the ride, it's most important that you be exactly who you are and not change for anyone else. For you to maintain a sense of balance and health, others will need to adapt to you, as you cannot adapt to them. You can go along with the other temporarily, but you must always return to your fixed, unique way. Hmm, okay. Interpersonal. Life and people are a real education for opportunist investigators, right? Life and people are the meat of the life of an opportunist investigator. As they learn through interaction, that not everyone sees the world as black and white or right and wrong like they do, right? They get a rude awakening into the ways of the world, which makes them somewhat vulnerable and prone to heartache. 4-1s learn through these experiences, however, and their fixed fate keeps them moving forward. It's important to stay above the fray, and in addition to their broader network, they need a trusted circle of close friends and confidants who provide unconditional, loving support without resistance. Opportunist investigators enjoy the study of human behavior and may enjoy investigating some form of psychology, sociology, astrology, or even human design, right? In order to get a good start in life, education and a solid, secure home life are very important for a 4-1 child. Okay? So we're back to focusing our mind on the children, right? Because they are the future, and we want to make the world a better place. And how better to do so than to take these tools that we're learning here and incorporate them in your life and child rearing, right? So that we can try it out. Let's see if it makes life easier for them, helps them be more authentically themselves, help them be more consciously aware of their unique, specific energy and how to navigate with that particular energy throughout their life, right? And it starts as a child. So, in order to get a good start in life, education, solid, secure home life, all these are very important for this 4-1 child. They need to be encouraged and provided with the opportunity to study what they love and enjoy. For relationships to work for a 4-1, they must be built on a foundation of friendship and integrity, as the bonding strategy is brotherhood, sisterhood, or friends first, and then intimacy. The other, who is in a relationship with this 4-1 or opportunist investigator person, will need to do the adapting. 4-1s can be the most loyal and generous of friends, but they cannot be in relationships where they're resisted or where there's a lack of trust or loyalty. It's best to be completely honest and transparent with 4-1 profiles, because built into the fourth line is the abdicator. If they're resisted, they'll move on to find someone else who wants what they have. Okay, they're not going to fight. They're going to be like, whatever, anyway, and they'll keep it moving. They're the abdicator. They'll keep it moving. So that's interesting. Like I said, like we were saying earlier about energy, or a frequency that only kind of really works with your inner circle versus strangers, and then fifth line energy working with strangers and not the inner circle. And then here it says for these 4-1s, they need someone who's going to adapt to them, because that 4-1 is not going to change. So there are people out here who adapt. They're not fixed. They will adapt. So there's someone for everybody. There's matching energies all around us. And, hey, conduct your experiment, y'all. Let's see if it makes life better. Your quality of life. If you argue with a 4-1 profile, they'll politely nod their head while steadfastly and quietly holding on to their own truth deep inside. It's very difficult to change the mind of a 4-1. However, it can be done if you substantiate your points with good, solid facts. Okay? Who are famous 4-1s? Well, we have David Ginsburg, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Barbara Walters, Bette Midler, Buzz Aldrin, Gianni Versace, Louis Vuitton, Peter Sellers, and Richard Harris. Quite a list. What do you think? Can you see it? That these are people that you can't change what they think. They're going to do what they're doing. Can you see that in this group of people? These fashion powerhouses, these journalists, entertainers, right? Bette Midler, theater, Broadway, right? Mm-hmm. So, like we said, there was only one juxtaposition angle or geometry, and now we're going to get into the left angle, transpersonal karma profiles. And I'm not quite sure. I can't remember how many there are, but I don't think there's as many as the right angle. But who knows? Let's just get into it. Because there's 12 profiles total, and I think we might have covered 7 or 6 in the last one. So we just added another one. So let's finish up with the rest of the 12, right? Starting with the 5-1 profile, the Heretic Investigator. My best friend is a 5-1 profile. My nephew is a 5-1 profile. Wow. Let's see. Their fifth line is on the personality side. It's conscious, universalization. And their first line is on the design side. It is unconscious introspection, right? Like the last one. So you have the same information on the right side talking about this first line design that you had in the 4-1 profile. Their nature is modesty. Their type is authoritarian. The memory is empathy. Direction is creativity. Sexuality goes between pursuer and pursued. Humanity is going between self-provider versus coveter. Wave resonance is weakness and strength. And the frequency resonance, again, is weakness and strength. And here we have a fifth line personality. Their behavioral identity is the heretic. Their projected attitude, the general. The limited perspective is the savior. Aspired to role, attractiveness. Bonding strategy, seducer slash seduced. Their security strategy is distributor versus or also hoarder. Emotional resonance is selflessness versus selfishness, and their awareness resonance is discipline or rebellion. Here's some background on this 5-1 personality. In the I-ching, the exalted or ruling fifth line embodies the theme of a hexagram. For the Heretic Investigator, the unconscious first line, representing the authoritative foundation, is joined by the fifth line, which consciously projects all that foundation could or should be. All that foundation, that investigative work you build a foundation on, that fifth line consciously projects what that information could or should be, what could or should be done with it, right? The result is that the 5-1 is the most transpersonal. They're the most transpersonal with the highest universalizing potential of all 12 profiles. Check that out. The 5-1 is the most transpersonal with the highest universalizing potential of all the 12 profiles. This is the profile of saviors and generals, or of trickery and paranoia, and it's very seductive. Heretic investigators are projected upon to save or rescue others with a practical solution in a time of crises. So you're projected upon. Did you know that about yourself, 5-1s? Everybody is projecting upon you to save or rescue them with a practical solution in a time of crisis. When they don't have answers, and this is real bad, we need help quick, they turn immediately to you. Your energy gives off that aura. So everybody just turns their head and looks at you. And that's your time to shine, baby. That's when you jump into action, right? Okay, personal. Transpersonal destiny means that you're here to deal with karma. And you're designed to have encounters with others that can be important and potentially mutative for both you and them. If you can picture your life path as a grid with intersecting points that represent these encounters, you can get a sense of how you're destined to meet allies in life who are here to assist you as well as receive assistance from you. So you got a bunch of divine appointments set up for you in your life. Divine appointments, that's what I call them. These karmic encounters, which very often, can feel like deja vu, can be as complex as a business arrangement or as simple as someone asking you for directions. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. Nephew was only like 2, I think. And we took a road trip to Oklahoma in an emergency. And everything got worked out fine. And now we're on our way back to Texas. And would you know it, there was a divine appointment. There was a whole karmic encounter on this way home. We met the sweetest person. She was so sweet. And she was asking for directions. And in the midst of talking about that, she started giving my sister information about homeschooling. My sister being the mother of the nephew, right? So I think that because they're together and tied together, absolutely, but also he's young. This information could assist him in his life, right? So I mean, reading that, it just made me think of that encounter because we were all together, and you know how it is when you're driving somewhere and you have a destination in mind, and then something throws you off course, something stops you, and you're like, dang, you're trying to get to where you're going. And I recall saying to my sister at that time, hey, you never know. Um, there could have been a potential for an accident had we kept going, or um, all kinds of things. And then when this lady showed up and all that information, and now we're back on the road driving, I was like, see there? It was a divine appointment. And that's when I coined the phrase divine appointment. Nephew was 2. We were coming back from Oklahoma, back to Texas. Ain't that something? And he's a 5-1. Okay, so yeah, as simple as someone asking you for directions. That's amazing. You're aware on some level of your conscious transpersonal fifth line, an alluring and seductive line that's continually projected upon, others feel, without even knowing you, that you have something potentially important and helpful that they need. This projection draws people to you, providing you with the ability to have the encounters in life that you need in order to live out your unique life purpose. Wow. Oh man, I want to remember all this stuff when I'm dealing with my nephew. I want to remember this stuff. We got to remember that this projection draws people to him. They just sense that he can help with the situation. They have what he needs to help the situation. So here you are. Everybody's thinking you're the superhero, sir. And you got to walk accordingly, right? Others project onto you that you can lead, guide, help, or save them. And when it's the right projection, you enjoy filling the role and being able to deliver practical solutions with your expert problem solving skills. There are times, however, when the projection you're feeling is not the right one for you, and you feel insecure and unsure that you can provide what the other person needs and wants. It's important for you to know which projections are the correct ones to say yes to. If you say yes when it's not correct, you can get caught in the illusory web created by the projections of others and make commitments that you can't live up to, resulting in a tarnished reputation. Okay, it's an illusion. It's healthy for you to be suspicious and a bit paranoid of the expectations of others. Ra, the founder of human design, Ra has said the hopes and dreams of humanity rest on the shoulders of a fifth line. This is a big responsibility to carry, and the best way to operate within the expectant projection field is to stand on a solid, practical, and authentic foundation. One of the advantages of being a fifth line is that the initial projection from others starts out as positive. People are projecting onto you that you can deliver what they need. And if you deliver something practical, your reputation will flourish. If a practical solution is not provided, though, if what you've given them is a house of cards, your reputation suffers, and the heretic will be burned at the stake. Without a reputation that can be trusted, your conscious fifth line may have to change direction and begin again somewhere else. You need to make sure that before you get involved, you're prepared with a practical solution that works for everyone. You do this with your unconscious first line, the investigator. Your first line is designed to get to the bottom of things, to study and establish a secure foundation of knowledge. Once you have a solid foundation and have become an authority, you're prepared to impact and mutate society when needed. Following your strategy and authority will guide you to the right circumstance and timing for universalizing your practical foundation. Okay? So that's great. That's great news. You're a keen observer of the world around you, and preparedness, as well as correct timing, is essential to your success. When the two come together, you're the heretic investigator who can break through humanity's habit of seeing things in the same old way and make your revolutionary heretical point of view work when all else has failed. Unlike fourth lines, whose greatest influence is within their networks and personal associations, you're most powerful as a stranger of consequence. You're designed to interface with new people who are ready to receive your heretical mutative information. Familiarity breeds contempt for a fifth line. You greatly benefit from times of withdrawal out of the projection field to build up strength and cultivate your skills so that you can be ready to meet the next crisis when the commitment is correct for you. You find refreshment on many levels through cultivating beauty and creativity. Interpersonal. Heretic investigators aspire to make themselves personally attractive in order to improve their chances of universalizing, as well as to seduce a partner into seducing them. They have vulnerabilities and insecurities and are reluctant to show their true self. Few people ever truly know the fifth line, as they're shrouded in an elusive projection field. The fifth line hoards or holds back and waits for the illusion of power, the projection field, to build up and the right moment to universalize the foundation. Providing practical solutions in crises situations requires disciplined patience. Heretic investigators thrive on this process, but they need to remember to return to their waiting once they've satisfied a projection in order to prepare for the next. They must be able to recognize when it's the time. They must be able to recognize when it's the right time to move on, or else they'll suffer damage to their reputation. Okay, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. And then you go back to, you know, so I'm thinking Superman, right? You go back to, working as a cameraman or reporter for the news, but you're always ready to jump in that booth and turn into a superhero, handle the problem, and then go back home, take off your Superman outfit, go back to whatever you were doing, resting and researching. Oh my God, because Superman worked at the news place, so he's a researcher. Hold on, hold on. Is Superman a 5'1"? Oh my God, wait a minute. Superman is a journalist and a superhero ready to answer people's calls during crises. And then he has to go back to his research and his rest when he's done so that he's prepared for the next crises. Wow. You guys, leave me a comment. Is Superman a 5'1"? Out of all the profiles we've been reading so far, it sounds to me like Superman. Wait a minute, we playing over here. Hold on. Superman's not real. Calm down. Superman is not real. Wow. But I mean the archetype, right? I don't know. He sounds like a 5'1". Regardless, I don't care. He sounds like a 5'1". That's me. I stand on that. I stand on that. Okay. In addition, the 5'1" profile has an interesting connection with the 6'2" profile. Because of the wisdom and trust associated with 6'2s, they can enhance or save the reputations of 5'1s by innocently supporting their hearsay and the practical foundation that they're universalizing. The reverse is also true. 6'2s can destroy their reputation as well. So the 5'1 got an op in the 6'2, huh? Or they got their biggest cheerleader, huh? Interesting. Famous 5'1s are Anne Frank, Buckminster Fuller, Clint Eastwood. Oh my God, I just saw Play Misty for Me for the first time. Good movie. That was a good movie. Harry Belafonte, Hugh Hefner. Okay. Hugh Hefner is a famous 5'1". Wow. Is he saving the... you know what? Never mind. He's a 5'1". He saves people in the midst of crisis and goes back to the Playboy mansion, lounging and researching Playboy themed stuff. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he researches media, communication, right? He got a Playboy magazine, Playboy TV channel. He's not just studying sex, right? When he go back to the Playboy mansion. Y'all need to quit with me. Yeah, y'all make me laugh. I'm laughing with y'all. We laughing together. Ha ha, we're laughing. Neil Armstrong, Padre Pio, Paul McCartney, the Beatle. Ra Uru. He's a 5'1" as well. And Theo Van Gogh. Okay. That's funny. Superman and Hugh Hefner, right? 5'1s. Come on, y'all. You know that is funny as hell. Another of the left angle transpersonal karma profiles is the 5-2 profile, the Heretic Hermit, right? They're a heretic, but they're also a hermit. Their fifth line personality is conscious universalization, as we just read about in the 5-1. So you're going to have the same information. The heretic, the general, the savior, attractiveness, seducer or seduced, distributor or hoarder, selflessness or selfishness, and discipline or rebellion. um, the second line design, hold on, because what I thought about was when we were reading all the other ones, it told us about how you deal with that profile as a child, or if you have a child with that profile. It didn't say anything about that here in the 5-1. It didn't touch on the 5-1 child like it did for all the other ones. Dang. I really want to know that information. Nephew's a child. Wow. Anyway, this 5-2 profile, this heretic hermit, has a second line design. It's unconscious projection, right? Their nature is the hermit. Their type is Democrat. Memory is bigotry. Direction is harmony. Sexuality is shyness and boldness, right? Going back and forth between the two. Humanity is nourisher or depleter, right? They'll deplete your resources for sure, or they can nourish. Wave resonance is advance or withdrawal, and frequency resonance is determination or not. Okay. Frequency resonance for the two. Right. Background. Living within a dual projection field, heretic hermits must be their own stimulus or motivation. When the correct projection sets things in motion, the heretic calls its own hermit's gifts forth. Right? Because remember that second line, that hermit has natural gifts. They can't explain it. They don't want you asking them because they don't know. They can't even answer the question. So don't even ask them how they do what they do so well. It's a natural gift. And when this heretic is called, this person with the 5-2 profile, when they're called on during this time of crises, they actually, I guess they actually call on their own natural gifts that are coming from their hermit second line design side. Yes. Applying or universalizing what it does naturally. Absolutely. 5-2s live an unusual life of constant projection. Returning to the house metaphor, we have the conscious fifth line on the second floor behind the curtain and looking out on the street, very aware of the people below projecting up at them, right? At the window, at the curtain, as they wonder what's going on behind the curtain. The unconscious second line is on the first floor, lights on, curtains open, dancing around, unaware that people are looking in and projecting onto it as well. Okay, projecting two different ways. They're projecting two different ways here. This rare profile is referred to as the reluctant heretic and is quite commonplace for heretic hermits to remain detached and uninvolved due to the uncertainty of whether they can deliver on the projection from others, right? Although they have a transpersonal profile, unlike the 5-1s that have karma with the other, 5-2s carry their own karma within. They have to live out something based on what they lived out in the past. But they're the ones that have to discover it. Wow. If they don't, whatever it is does not get called out and they don't get to universalize it. Amazing. They carry their own karma from past lives. They have to live out something based on what they lived out in the past. But they have to discover it. And if they don't, whatever it is doesn't get to be universalized. Okay. personal. You're deeply gifted in an unusual way, and it's very important for you to understand how to engage with life. What you're waiting for is the correct internal call to something revolutionary, something you can lead others to that lies beyond the mundane plane, right? The mundane plane, something behind what we can see. Once properly engaged, you're empowered to selflessly nourish those you're here to support while providing for your own material needs at the same time. Unlike 5-1s who universalize a foundation, something that they've investigated and studied, you're universalizing your own natural talents and gifts. This is personal, and you can feel very vulnerable. When you're called to step in and help, you're asking people to believe in you, for real, for real. You have to stand on your charismatic power alone, and this can create much uncertainty. Oh, are you a 5-2? Who's a 5-2? Your second line genius is unconscious and buried deep inside you, and it's difficult for you to know when you've received the correct call. You're called through the projection field, and it's imperative to your success and reputation that you understand how to make correct decisions by using your strategy and authority. Only when you've recognized the correct call can you fulfill the projection. The fifth line in your profile starts with a positive projection from others that you can deliver what they need and want. And the moment that you don't fulfill that projection, your reputation suffers. This is a transpersonal profile, and your reputation can suffer on a wide scale. Therefore, it's even more important for you to understand how to make correct decisions from your own authority and not the projection field, right? You're being bombarded all the time in two different ways. You're living your whole life being projected on from two different ways. You heard what was said. That second floor person standing in the window behind the curtain, people outside are looking up at that closed curtain like, I wonder what's behind that curtain. And I wonder if it can help me. And then you're also that person on the bottom floor standing in the window with the curtains open, doing your own thing inside the room, lights on. Everybody outside are looking inside and they can see you and they're projecting on you what they want you to do because they see you're good at something. Wow. So you have to make decisions from your own authority. You can't get involved in every project, every projection. It's too much. It's necessary for you and also a relief to get away from the projections of others, as you feel naturally and comfortably complete and are happy to be alone with yourself. Your second line unconscious body needs its special hermit alone time to stay healthy and to nurture your natural gifts and talents. As a hermit, you have no inherent interest in improving what you do naturally or proving to yourself or others what you hold to be true. You just don't care. You have no need for any of that. You don't want to prove nothing. I don't care. And as a heretic, you're not comfortable being projected upon by just any person in crises to provide practical solutions or to fulfill hopes and expectations. If you experience many failures in living up to others' projections, this can negatively reinforce your tendency for aloneness. You can feel uncertain about what you actually can do and get overwhelmed and confused by so many projections. If pushed to an unhealthy extreme, you may choose to insulate yourself from all outside expectations and then endure the reputation of an underachiever or hoarder who refuses to empower and universalize your gifts for the benefit of others. Oh, don't do that. Don't do it. See, you'll get burnt out if you keep on trying to solve everybody's problem. You can't do it. You need your alone time. You need your rest. Um, you need your space. So I wish nothing but the best for you so that you can universalize your gifts for the benefit of others. Interpersonal. The secret to interacting with heretic hermits is to avoid pressuring them in any way. No pressure. Wait until they call themselves out and see their own way into a predicament or crisis that requires their particular and inherent genius. This is how this unusual profile manifests evolutionary new truths in the world in personally rewarding ways and maintains harmony for itself. As 5-2s believe that the root of harmony is that no one should be pressured. In relationships, the fifth line heretic relies on its power of attraction to get the other's attention, while the hermit's shyness automatically sets up a protective barrier to real intimacy. When a pursuer or person of interest appears, however, this profile can let down its barrier, thus permitting the pursuer's boldness to effectively complete the seduction and open the way to intimacy. And now it wants to bring up the children. What about the 5-1 children? Come on, man. The 5-2 child's need to motivate itself can be frustrating and challenging for parents, right? They got to motivate themselves. You can't do it. There is tremendous expectation placed on these children to show their talent or genius in the world and to help others. When they retreat into their room, instead to seemingly play around, their families can project on them that they're underachievers. This can make 5-2 children very uncomfortable with others, as they always feel the pressure of those projected expectations. Oh, they can also be very suspicious of what others see in them, as they're very insecure about their natural talents and not sure if they can meet the projection. In working with 5-2 children, it's best to present many different things to them until something turns them on. They're very selective, but once turned on, they'll call themselves out and share their natural abilities. Boom. That's what's up. Present many different things to them. That's what I like to do with nephew, but he's a 5-1. He's not a 5-2. So now, I could start. They didn't give me any information on how to deal with the 5-1, but my best friend is a 5-1. We've been friends for decades, so it's cool. I know I'm a 1-3 myself, so I know how that investigative energy is. Right now he's investigating how to master Fortnite and Minecraft and Roblox and stuff. No, we got him off of Roblox. Y'all got get them kids off of Roblox. A news article came across my desk recently about all the predators on Roblox and how the Roblox CEOs don't seem to care about protecting the kids. There was a guy that reported a bunch of he had the evidence. He did a sting operation. A regular civilian, a teenager at that. He's getting collecting all the evidence and busting these pedos, these weirdos on Roblox or whatever it is. And he reported it all to the police and then to Roblox, and Roblox blocked his account, saying he violated the privacy of these guys that he caught. So anyway, the CEOs seem to be conflicted on whether or not children are important enough to protect. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get the children off of there until they figure it out, right? These are grown adults, but apparently they're having a problem trying to figure out what's more important. Children's protection or money? I don't know. I'm so conflicted. So let them work it out on their own, right? We don't care. Just take the kids somewhere else. There's so many other things we can show these children. So, anyway, famous 5-2s are Abraham Lincoln, Coretta Scott King, Bridget Fonda, George Eliot, Mike Wallace, Peter Graves, Ron L. Hubbard. Isn't that the founder of Scientology? Hmm. Alvin Ailey, China Phillips, and Frank Schubert. All right. Another left angle transpersonal karma profile is the 6-2 profile. It's the role model Hermit. So they still have that second line hermetic energy, right? In their unconscious, this unconscious projection on their design side, the Hermit, Democrat, bigotry, harmony, shyness or boldness, nourisher or depleter, advance or withdrawal, determination or not. And they have a 6th line on their personality side. So it's conscious transition. That behavioral identity is that of the role model. Their projected attitude is that of an administrator. Their limited perspective is optimist. The aspired to role is objectivity. Their bonding strategy is soulmate or not. Their security strategy is trust or not. Their emotional resonance is sympathy or apathy. And their awareness resonance is leadership or not. Where all this information come from? Oh, my bad, I forgot. Ra heard all this from a voice who wrote all this down. That's wild. Sat there in a cabin for 8 days and 8 nights, writing down, transcribing what this voice told him. And so, what did the voice tell him? The behavioral identity of 6th line is role model, and the projected attitude of a 6th line personality is that of an administrator. Is that what? Anyway, girl, I can't. Here's the background. The transpersonal role model, Hermit, is here to show us all how to live authentically without being dependent on outside authorities, and to realize and accept our unique perfection. The unconscious and naturally gifted hermit just wants to be left alone to do its own thing. In the house metaphor, line 6 sits on the roof, separate from the rest of the house, but with a view into the next house or the next hexagram, right? Role models are not necessarily interested in what's going on inside the house. They're more interested in the broader view. Yeah, because my dad is a 6. Is my dad a 6 too? Let me check. Hold on. No, my dad is a 4-6. He's a 4-6. But he has that 6th line, and I can definitely see it in him. So, this rooftop perch gives 6-2s the ability to be removed from the drama of life and allows them to objectively observe and offer a detached viewpoint, much like the sage on the mountaintop. The 2nd and 6th lines have something in common, as the hermit's natural gifts are always noticed, and the role model observer is also always being observed. Right? Personal. You can feel a bit out of sync with the world. You have a bird's eye view of life, so you can see the big picture and are wise beyond your years. Profiles without a 6th line do not have the ability to see life the way you see it, and this can make you feel disconnected from others, or question and wonder why they don't see what's obvious to you. When combined, your 6th and 2nd lines give you the capacity to be the democratic administrator, a unique, capable, and wise authority. As with all 6 lines, you'll go through 3 significant stages in life. It's important for you to embrace each aspect of this process as it matures and prepares you for your true calling, which is the role of trusted leader. The first 30 years are trial and error discovery, gathering valuable experiences and losing some of your innocence as you get exposed to the hard realities of life and what does not work. The second stage of your development is a time for you to retreat, heal your wounds, regain your optimism, enjoy life, and watch for the things that do work. Your unconscious 2nd line hermit feels good in this stage, as withdrawal is natural. After the age of 50, you receive a calling, re-engaging with life, and becoming a true role model and living example of the wise, aware, objective judge and observer. You're always noticed and have great transpersonal power even when you're withdrawn and reclusive. A life of harmony for you means no agendas or pressure to prove yourself. Your ability to stay above the fray, removed from the insignificant dramas in life, helps you to maintain objectivity. You're most interested in things with depth and meaning. The trivial does not engage you. Others see you as an objective administrator and will call you out for advice. As a transpersonal person, you're someone others listen to, and your advice carries a lot of weight. If you say this thing works or not, or this person is good or bad, people will take your word for it. Your sixth line, when healthy, is fundamentally optimistic, hoping and dreaming for the best in life for everyone, including yourself. At the same time, your unconscious second line sees the frailties and self hatred that exist within humanity. Hmm. Your natural genius and innate talents must be protected and allowed to unfold naturally in order to be called out and made available to the world. You're not a generalist, and there's a specific and special call that will allow you to bring out your gifts and embody your role model power. This calling is not something that you'll find by seeking. It must be called out of you by others. There is a noble, self sufficient, optimistic, and visionary quality that emerges from you if you're able to stay with your process, maintain your perspective, and safeguard your natural gifts during the first two stages of life, right? So those stages end at 50, and from then on, you're in stage 3, the role model stage, where you incorporate all that wisdom that you gathered up from being, you know, from being in that first stage of life, which is like a third line energy, right? Knocking into life, bumping into life, having life bump into you for a trial and error process so you can learn what does not work. Because in the midst of that, you end up learning what does work. But what you'll do is after that first stage of life, you'll go in your second stage and you'll kind of go up on the roof, huh? Or you'll kind of go inside the house and heal your wounds, build a build out a plan with things that you know do work and things of that nature. And then in that third stage of life, you'll become a role model, bringing out all that information that you learned to all that wisdom and those natural gifts that you've um, cultivated, and you'll bring that out, right? I think it's interesting that the sixth line has these three stages of life, but we all know three is divisible, or you can divide three or six into three, or whatever the case. We know about the 3, 6, 9s, right? Okay. So anybody with a line 6 is going to deal with a line 3 energy at some point, typically the first stage of their life. Anywho, here's the interpersonal information. It says that role model hermits are idealists looking for the perfect life and perfect mate, someone they can stand with, relate to, and be proud of. The potential partner must be bold, however, and break through the 6-2 barrier. During the first 30-year trial and error cycle, they jump into intimacy only to suffer from disillusionment and disappointment. Typically, meeting their mate is possible only after they enter the retreat phase of life. And yet, a lot of time can be spent in this phase trying to change a partner into the perfect model. It's important that 6-2s live their truth and not attempt to change the truth of others. Trust is nourishing for the role model hermit, and they can't be intimate with anyone they can't trust. If the trust is broken, you only get access to the 6-2 on a superficial level. Okay? It's very important to support the 6-2 child. See what I'm saying? They go into the kids, but they left out the 5-1 kids. Back to the children, though. Let's pay special attention to these 6-2 children and how we can make life easier for them so that they can fulfill their role. Because they have a special gift as well, right? Well, I don't like to use the word special. They have a unique gift to bring and share with the world. And that's wonderful. We love that for them. It's very important to support the 6-2 child in discovering their true nature and to not shame them for any trial and error mistakes that are made in the first 30 years. Okay? They can be insecure in their gifts and can be their own worst critics as they're always looking for perfection. They need encouragement to explore and try things. When something doesn't work out, a parent can guide the child to learn from the discovery by asking, "What did you learn from this experience?" It's that simple. You don't have to beat them up for being a failure. What are we doing here? You don't have to shame them for any mistakes that they make all the way up to 30 years old. You don't have to shame them. Just ask them, "Well, what did you learn from that? What'd you get from that?" Right? What do we say? You're going to learn today. What'd you learn? Oh, okay. The third part, 6th line developmental process, is something that all human beings go through and is modeled and accentuated by 6th lines as they lead us through this transition to the new 9-centered form. Okay, breaking news. According to Ra and this voice that he says told him this information, new 9-centered forms. All of us right now alive are in transition from 7-centered chakra forms to 9-centered forms, according to Ra. And this is to occur. This is to be. This is to happen in 2027, right? With rave children, I hear. So Google rave, RAVE children. We're not talking about the kids partying, doing ecstasy and stuff like that. That's not what we're talking about. Man, when's the last time there was a rave? I'd like to go to a rave, not to do drugs, but to listen to house music, right? And dance. Yes. So you don't have to shame them or anything like that. Just ask them what they learned from their experience. They're here to lead us through this transition to the new 9-centered form. They're here to show us the way to live as a differentiated 9-centered being, able to operate and make decisions from our own authority, and that's very important because everybody's searching for a hero. Everybody's looking to somebody else for authority. Not everybody, but I mean, come on. You got presidents, you got popes, you got doctors and lawyers, judges. Okay, you got all kind of pharaohs and kings and governors and all this stuff. So, but when do you take authority over your own life? When does your authority begin? Is the question. It's already here. Maybe you're not aware. So look within, do some meditating. Here's some famous 6'2s. Barack Obama. He's a 6'2. Okay, so now I get it. He's writing books and stuff. They're making movies. He's off the roof, huh? Barack is he's on the roof. Oh, hold on. So Barack is on the roof now. So he's sharing all his wisdom that he's accumulated, starting with the wisdom he accumulated as a line 3 from ages 0 through 30, right? Trial and error, bumping into stuff, finding out all the things that don't work. And then, I guess he became a president during his other time, right? His second stage. I don't know, maybe towards the end of his second stage, and then he goes off into his third stage. Now he's the role model, sharing with all of us his wisdom and his gifts. He's got that line 2 energy. Okay, he's a hermit. He got natural gifts. He can't explain it to y'all. Don't ask him, please. Don't ask Barack how he do what he do. He don't know. He does not know, and it frustrates him when you ask him because he really can't come up with a good answer. As a politician, he'll probably say something, but it's come on, let's be serious. We just read about it. We know how the line 2s operate. Billy Joel is also a 6'2". Charles Day Gall, is that Gall? Charles Dickens, right? Errol Flynn. George Lucas is a 6'2". I worked at the George Lucas movie studio in San Rafael, California, Marin County. I worked on a movie lot. I didn't even know George Lucas had a movie lot in North California. but he did, and I worked there. Harry S. Truman, Henry Ford, Isadora Duncan, and Zelda Fitzgerald. Mm-hmm. Yep. Here's another left angle transpersonal karma profile. The 6-3 profile, the role model, and martyr. Okay, so wow, you got a lot of threes going on here. Because the 6 is a double 3. Or, it's going to have that 3 energy. And then you're also a 3. So 6-line personality, conscious transition, 3rd-line design, unconscious adaptation. Okay, so you're dealing with either being the martyr or the role model, the administrator or the anarchist, the optimist or the pessimist, objectivity or sustainment, soulmate or not, bonds made and broken, trust or not, bonds made and broken, sympathy or apathy, allegiance or rejection, leadership or not, partnership or dependency. Got a lot going on. Role model martyr. This is the role model martyr. The role model martyr, the completion point of the 12 profiles. Okay, we're on the last one. Combines the conscious and aloof 6th line, which seeks the perfection in life, with the unconscious, restless, materially oriented, and mutative 3rd line. The 6-3 is a profile of transition and change, which can lead to a potentially chaotic and destabilizing life. No matter where the 6th line is in the tripartite life process, the unconscious 3rd line continually pulls it into subjective experiences. Wow. It's through this process, though, that 6-3s become the wisest of role models, ultimately discovering that uniqueness is perfection, and that we cannot trust in anyone when making decisions but ourselves. Wow, they're the wisest of the role models. I knew it. I'm seeing 333, really. Personally, I'm seeing 333, right? 3 plus 3 is 6, and then you have the other 3. Come on. Come on, angel numbers, 333, let's go. Personal. As is true for all 6 lines, you'll go through a 3-part life process. For a 6-3 profile, these 3 stages are experienced differently, as the first 30 years are experienced as a 3-3 profile, which is a doubly intense and sometimes very difficult trial and error process. Man, I'm just thinking about, knowing these type of things, even when I was into astrology, knowing just astrology, no human design, I was yearning for better types of statistics. And I just want better type, more. Let me explain what I mean. I can already, through just reading what all we've read anyway about the life of a line 3 person, and how they're dealing with a difficult trial and error process, and how they could ultimately feel like they're a failure and feel like they can never get nothing done right. All they do is learn the wrong ways to do stuff. And I wonder how many people who have unalived themselves. Sorry, trigger warning. I wonder how many people who have committed suicide have a 3-3 profile. Because I can understand that it's doubly intense and very difficult, because that trial and process, it could just get you down. Remember, I'm a 1-3 profile. So I've learned over the years how to just deal with myself authentically. But then when I learned about human design, I said, now I see why. Now I can see why. So I know about that energy that comes with the 3. And, to have a doubly intense trial and error process as a 3-3, I wonder how many who have killed themselves has that 3-3. I don't want you to give up. I don't want anybody to give up. I'm just saying it happens. People do. And I wonder how many of those people were 3-3 profiles. Because I can just imagine, how down you would feel about potentially never being able to figure shit out. It's like everything I touch turns to shit. I'm only always figuring out how things don't work. And so that's why I encourage us to learn about this. I encourage you to ask your family and friends, their information so you can pool their profiles. And now we can, even if we don't go in depth with this person about their profile and human design, we personally would know how better to deal with that person, right? Make sure you hug a line 3 person today. They feel like nothing they do pans out because they're figuring out all the ways things don't work until one day they finally figure out things that do work. But, during that trial and error process, please, if you know somebody with a line 3, give them a hug. Let them know you're doing all right. You're doing just fine. You're finding out what doesn't work. And in the middle of that, if you just be patient and hold on, you'll finally figure out what does work. Don't give up. Keep living. Right? Keep living. It's not necessary, excuse me, I'm going to go back to this personal because we're saying this 3-3 profile, doubly intense, very difficult trial and error process. You're gathering subjective experiences and you engage in and try just about everything, including jumping into situations and relationships that do not work. You can become disappointed and ultimately conditioned to feel pessimistically that nothing in life really works. See, if I'd have just kept reading, but I had to go off, my head and just give you my opinion. But yeah, I'd be interested in new kind of statistics, new kind of I keep the word is slipping my mind, but research, new kinds of what's the word I'm looking for? Golly, I can't remember it. It'll pop in my head later. Studies, new studies. That's what we want. New studies which produce new statistics on how many people with a 3-3 profile go through this or that. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. I mean, now that we know about this stuff, and like I said, even before human design, when I was just purely into astrology, I was like, well, I wonder how many people going through this or that are Virgos or Geminis or things like that. They people try to bring that kind of information out because they like to talk about how many serial killers are Geminis or Virgos and stuff like that, right? So but we don't have the numbers to really back it up. We don't have all the numbers, so we can't really do a. We need to do a study for these things. I think that kind of information would be helpful for us to know so it could validate what we're saying. When you run into a line 3 person, please give them a hug because they could continuously be disappointed and end up being pessimistic that nothing in life really works and then take that step. We don't want that. So if we know better, we'll do better. It's not necessary that you go through a traumatic first stage, and how you experience this first phase is dependent upon the parenting and conditioning that you receive as a child. Right? Isn't all of our trials, don't they say all of our traumas have their root in childhood? Mm, yeah, most of our traumas come from things that happened to us in childhood. They say some of the worst are traumas that happened before you were the age of 10 as well. So, I love that we keep focusing on the children because it's very important. Now, if you're raised as yourself, respected as an individual, and given guidance on how to make decisions as yourself, you'll have a smoother first stage. So that's what we need to do for these children. That's what we need to do for these 6-3 children. We need to respect them as individuals. We need to give them guidance on how to make decisions as themselves. And then they'll have a smoother first stage. If you're your own authority, you'll gain wisdom from these subjective experiences and discover what's correct for you to discover. 6-3 children need to be encouraged and taught to see that a trial and error process is not about mistakes, but rather opportunities for learning. Otherwise, you can end up with both a martyr and inferiority complex, along with a chip on your shoulder and a deep pessimism about life. Between 30 and 50, you go on up onto the roof for a more aloof, objective observation process. This is the time when you retreat from the subjective experiences, as your 3-3 is now a 6-3. But you don't finally get the reprieve of staying securely up on the roof that a 6-2 profile does. Your unconscious third line continually pulls on you to engage again and again in the experiential trial and error process, with feelings of, this is not it, there's still more, and there's still things to try and things that still need to be explored. You move up and down the ladder between being connected and being aloof, between sympathy and apathy. If burned up by an unpleasant or discouraging experience, you retreat for a while until you're bored or a new adventure looks appealing, and then you climb down again and engage in the next experience. You're driven by your conscious 6 lines optimism that all things are possible and that you can find something to trust and a soulmate. You move back and forth between pessimism and optimism. From 50 years on, you experience the potential for the fulfillment of your uniqueness and your flowering into a role model. By this time in your life, if you've survived, you see that? It ain't hard to see that these people, man, again, I wanted to see studies on this. I want to see the numbers. But by this time in your life, if you've survived, you've gained a tremendous amount of wisdom and will be looked to as a wise and objective advisor with a unique perspective on life. Lurking at the unconscious level, though, is your third line, ready for the next discovery, the next experiment, that may disrupt the tranquility and perfection that the 6th line would like to enjoy. Objectivity is your saving grace. It sustains you. It's what you aspire to and what brings your harmony in your life. Yours is a life of constant transition, of engagement and disengagement. Having a partner in life is important for you, and it's correct for you to have a life of bonds made and broken. So remember that part, to be able to pull away and then re-engage again. When you're operating as your own unique authority, you experience the transitions that are correct for you. There's nothing worse for you than a mental decision that goes bad, and it can lead to painful and damaging experiences. Okay? That was a lot. This is very informative, though, for you guys, right? Man. Interpersonal. Role model martyrs are born with resilience. Okay? You're born for this, though. Okay? Now, remember, because you have this energy, so you're able to handle that more than anybody else who doesn't have that energy. They wouldn't be able to handle this trial and error process that you go through your whole life. You're born with that ability. Role model martyrs are born with resilience and an ability to sustain their own direction, right? In the Bible, for Christianity says God doesn't put more on you than you can handle. So here we are. God doesn't put more on you than you can handle. You can handle this life of a 6-3. You just be patient with yourself, please. Love yourself, please. And keep in mind, just change your perspective a little bit. Remember that you are getting answers. Your trial and error process is doing just what it's supposed to do, right? And then the bonds made and broken, pulling away and then re-engaging in that part of the experiment. We talked about it in the last episode. Yeah, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I can definitely see some of the difficulties that you're dealing with. And but also, because it's not just difficulties, I can see how amazing you are as well. I can see how amazing you are as well. You're born with resilience and an ability to sustain your own direction. Life works for you, for them, when they can embrace the chaos and confusion and wonderment of their early years and receive all as essential discovery and learning, as this is the foundation for their valuable wisdom. The 6-3 profile needs supportive relationships with people that they trust, people who provide the option to pull away or break the bond when necessary in order to reconnect and strengthen it. 6-line models for us the new way to live in this 9-centered world. The old ways were based on leaders and followers, with 5th-line universalizers conditioning us into homogenized humans who continually gave their authority to others. Human design came into the world to liberate the individual and to nurture the uniqueness of all human beings. The essence of this is embodied and demonstrated in the 6th-line theme. As we enter into a new era of mutation, getting closer and closer to 2027. See, Google rave children in 2027. But as we get closer to this new mutation in 2027, why that date, I don't know. It's a lot of people that throw out all kind of dates. I don't believe none of them. Because, excuse me, I'm a 1-3, and I keep bumping into things that don't work. And I have yet to see anybody throwing out dates that work. So I'm going to just leave that a little bit of wisdom with you, and you make your own mind up. But I've continuously bumped into people calling out dates, especially in my journey through Christianity. It's all kind of self-proclaimed prophets and self-proclaimed people, apocalyptic people, prophesying the end of the world and when this thing is going to happen and when that date, and none of them have been true. And that's facts. That's based off of my research. Period. So, but anyway, he says 2027 is an important year, and as we get closer and closer to it, a 6th-line way of being in the world, as we get closer to 2027 and a 6th-line way of being in the world, the structures and institutions that support giving our authority over to outside influencers will continue to crumble. See what I'm saying? Just the fact that it said continue to crumble lets me know that this date, what are we marking? What date are we marking? Things will continue to go as they do. They're crumbling as we speak. They've been crumbling. So, I mean, the end of the crumbling isn't in 2027. It'll keep going. I don't know why we're pointing out dates then. I just don't get it. But that's me. Excuse me. In the old 7-centered model, we were told what to do. It's not, I mean, I can see that we're getting our authority back as individuals. And I can see that, institutions and society around us is crumbling because we're taking our own authority back and we're not relying on these institutions as authoritative. I can see that. I'm not saying that that's not happening right before our eyes as we speak. I'm not saying these things aren't crumbling. I was just pointing out, this date, 2027, letting y'all know we're talking about going into a 9-centered rave children being born who are 9-centered bodies. Those of us alive right now are in transition from the 7-centered to a 9-centered. We're not fully there, although these effects are taking place, these changes are happening. But according to him, starting in 2027, all the children born from then on out are 9-centered beings. He calls them rave children, RAVE. So, in the old 7-centered model, we were told what to do. It's not in the nature of a 6th-line to do this, though, right? They're authoritative. They're the role model. They're the wise one. Yeah, it's not in their nature. And the 6th-line is actually looking forward to the next hexagram. So, not only does the 6th-line look back over all the other lines, right? They're on the roof so they can have a broad view. They can see all that energy and feel all that and see all that from all 5 lines under it, including the previous first line, but they're also looking ahead to the next first line, right? So, it's a great gift. It's wonderful. And so they're not really looking to others for authority, and they're teaching us to be our own authority. So it's not in the nature of a 6th-line to do this, to have an authority over themselves. Instead, they innocently model what it means to live our lives correctly as ourselves through our own authority. Right? What could go wrong? Do you really need a king and a president? What could go wrong if you lived your life according to your own authority? They walk among us in their post-Chiron phase as examples of nine-centered living, allowing the uniqueness to unfold. 6 lines demonstrate that it's okay to be yourself and that you can find what you need within. Yes. Here's some famous 6-3s. Dan Rather, Farrah Fawcett, Harrison Ford, Matt Damon, Paulo Coelho, Rock Hudson, Serena Williams, Steve Jobs, King Umberto II, and is that Usher? Usher Raymond the what? The fifth? The fourth. Usher Raymond the fourth. Yes. Okay. So look to him to be, wow, so Usher's a 6'3". Wow, Serena's a 6'3". Just that 333 lifestyle, huh? Constantly bumping into things and finding out what doesn't work. But clearly Serena found out what does work, and she holding on to that, baby. She working that to the bone. Because remember, the 3 is also, not only is it tied into, what you could perceive as failure, but what is actually a learning experience to find out what doesn't work. Because once you do, that third line ties into money. I'm telling y'all, every time I'm hearing about, well, not every time, but when I hear about the third line, sometimes once in a while, people will bring up how that's connected to your personal money flow. So look at Serena. She flowing. She found out what works. She's working that thing, and she getting paid to do it. So, and Steve Jobs. Come on, Apple. Let's be serious. So you got them. They figured, some of them, hey, some of them have learned through their 333 life, right? These 6 3s. Man, I wish they knew this about themselves. I wish they knew that about themselves, and they would know why they had to take the journey that they had to take to get where they at, huh? Here's your quote from Ra Uruhu about everything we just read here in section 7 about these 12 profiles. We're not incarnating to simply be form principle. Otherwise, we would all be dolphins or we'd all be plants. We're here to fulfill a consciousness program. We're talking about the fulfillment of purpose. Everything about your incarnation cross is about the potential to fulfill your purpose. When you live as yourself, your cross takes over your life. The characteristics in your design don't matter when you're living your purpose. Purpose allows you to transcend the problems of your characteristics. That's the magic of being yourself. Because the moment you're really living your nature, your cross will take over. Your purpose will take over, and out of that will come its archetypal demand and the opportunity to be fulfilled in that way, whatever that way happens to be. Wow. Yeah, incarnation crosses, right? So we're going to get into it, but you just heard a little bit about them, because when we're talking about left angle cross, right angle cross, juxtaposition cross, that's part of incarnation crosses. There's hella incarnation crosses, y'all. There's a lot of incarnation crosses. So I don't want to be a spoiler alert. Okay, next is the Global Incarnation Cross Index. Okay, so we'll dive into that, I guess, here in section 8 when we come back on our next episode of the Openly Occultic Book Club. We'll dive into section 8, the Global Incarnation Cross Index, our true purpose. We'll dive more into all of that, Wow, you guys hung in there with me. Thank you. Shout out to the people that hang in there, going through the whole video, listening, laughing with me on my musings and my opinions and thoughts and stuff. I try to keep it copacetic, but sometimes just, I'm a 1-3, y'all. I be investigating and then I be like, testing stuff out too. So I have to give my opinion of what I found through my investigations. So that's why I had to go on and on about this 2027 date, and I'll be talking about Ra and this vision, that he purports to have gotten this information from. I don't know him. I wasn't there. I highly doubt it. And I feel like I'm right to be suspicious because I don't know him. You can't just anybody can't just tell me anything. I need to do some investigation, right? I need to investigate. But anyway, um, make sure to like, share, and subscribe this to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe. And again, if you get time, meet us in the Openly Occultic Book Club chat room. They're on the CGH, the cedargroveherbs.com website. Though here in the CGH chat rooms, we have, various rooms. But I want you to meet us in the Openly Occultic Book Club chat room. And just leave a message, type something, let me know that you came through. It's not as interactive as I view it to be in the future, right? We're kind of at the beginning right here. So we just started. I'm trying to build up presence in the chat room so that we all have a place to go and talk to like-minded individuals about this human design, right? And then we'll read other books. So really we'll be talking about energy work. If I was to say a theme, right? This is the Openly Occultic Book Club, and primarily we're talking about energy work. We're dealing with different energies and learning how, we're learning what all that's about. So from book to book, no matter what it is, the theme in the middle, at the end, at the root of it, is going to be about energy work. So a place for us to discuss these things, process that information, get valuable input from other people. Like we see that we all have different profiles, we all have different gates. We're all uniquely made, but we all have a gift to share. And in that sharing or in our life, we're either growing ourselves individually or we're helping to mutate, evolve, and grow the collective, or we're helping to mutate, evolve, and grow the tribe. So I felt like if I created a place for us, we can start we can do this experiment and share information with each other, right? In a way, we're not just individuals, it's wholeness and balance here, right? We want wholeness. We want to help everything, everybody. So if we have a place where we can talk about this and work it out mentally, if you will, figure out how exactly we're going to go about this, keep in mind the different things that we need to keep in mind and stuff like that, just somewhere we can go to discuss this. So I look forward to that room being full of people at all hours. At all hours of the day, you can go into the CGH Openly Occultic Book Club chat room and find a plethora of people talking about this topic. That's what I'm trying to manifest here, guys, okay? So, again, thank you for joining me. I hope you guys have a great day. Wholeness and balance.